Hello, lovers. Wow, I don't know why I felt the need to say a hello, lovers. The deep waters lovers. It's so good to have you join me today. It's a brand new week, and you're tuned into Radium 93.7 FM and Silverbed TV. Yes, Deep Waters is a simulcast show, a simulcast talk show on radio and TV, and we get to talk about real life. We get to talk about real issues. We're going to talk about real people. We're going to talk about real, conversations right here on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. And we don't scratch just the surface. We go deep. We scratch, beneath the surface. We go to the core of the matter. We shake the waters until they're still. I'm super duper excited to have you. I hope you've been keeping safe. How's the protest on your end? Are you stepping out or are you not stepping out? What are you doing? How was your weekend? Hope you had a fantastic weekend like mine, because I had my birthday last weekend, and it was good, but it was kind of boring because of the protests and all of that. But hey, I'm happy to be doing my birthday with you guys today, celebrating on the show, having real conversations with that, which is one of the things that I love to do the most. Today we're talking about indecision, making a hard decision and living with it. Indecision. Indecision is just the ability or the inability, so to say, to make decisions quickly. The inability for you to decide on something. And I feel like at one point in our lives, we might have experienced indecision. You have a big issue right in front of you. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a big issue. Sometimes your daily life, we decide on things. We are indecisive on things every day of our lives. Even the small things and big things. You're trying to wake up. You're sleeping in bed. You're trying to wake up in the morning. You're like, should I? Even this morning, I had my own dose of indecision. I was like, should I get up? Should I sleep some more, or should I get up and go to the gym? Okay, sleep some more, sleep 5 minutes, sleep 10 minutes. There was this indecision there, and then we finally get to decide on something or not. Some people like to be in that state of indecision for a while, and we're asking, is indecision actually a good thing or a bad thing? Sometimes you have a very big issue right in front of you, like a life-changing issue, and you are cracking your head about, deciding on it. And sometimes you go weeks without even deciding, and before you know, you start to procrastinate. It becomes procrastination. I read somewhere they say indecision is the father of procrastination, and then you start to procrastinate on that particular thing, and then before you know it, you have not decided, and before you know it, 1 year has gone, you haven't decided. Oh my god, that is crazy. We're talking about indecision, and we're going to be learning how to make hard decision and to live with it. And I'm asking, what is the hardest decision you have ever made in your life? Either now, recently, or sometime far away. What is the hardest decision? If you think about it now, what is one of the hardest decisions that you've had to make in your entire life? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic. Please do well to calling on 0915 534 5627 0915 534 5627, or you can call on our new numbers 0915 534 5509 0915 534 5509. The numbers to call to be a part of the conversation is 0915 534 5627 or 0915 534 5509. We're talking about indecision today. Even some of you had your fair share of indecision last weekend. Oh, should I step out to protest? Should I not? Should I protest? Should I not? Then day one has gone. You did not go out. Day two, you did not go out. Day three, you did not go out. You're just in that state of indecision, for a while. And some of you are still in that state right now. You're thinking, should I not? Should I? Before you know, the protest has reached day 10 and it's over, and you did not get to decide on whether you should. And in fact, not even deciding is a decision on its own, because the fact that you did not go is a form of decision on its own. I'm asking, what is the hardest decision you've ever had to make? What kind of person are you? Do you make decisions quickly or slowly? That, what does that even say about you as a person? I would say, for one, that I am on this table of people who don't decide quickly. I like to just take my time when it comes to decisions, and it has its own advantages and disadvantages, trust me. Disadvantages being that you can keep procrastinating and moving things back, moving things over and over again. Before you know it, it's 1 month gone, you haven't even done it. I don't know if you can relate with me, or you're on this table as me. I want to hear your true life story. story. I want to hear your personal thoughts, your undiluted opinion on the topic of the day: indecision. How to make hard decision and live with it. What kind of person are you? Do you make decisions quickly or slowly? What works for you? Is making a decision, is it a gender thing? I don't know. I just kind of feel like maybe men make decisions faster than women. Do you agree with that, or do you not? Do men make decisions faster than women do? If you're indecisive, why are you so indecisive? Some people are always scared of making decisions about anything. Oh, what do you want to eat now? They'll tell you, oh, what do you want to eat? So you can't even decide on what you want to eat. So you want to hear what the other person has to eat, and then you can now say, okay, maybe I'll have the same thing. And these things, if you look at it, they have some root cause in some certain things, which we're going to be exploring on the show later on. But for now, I'm taking calls. And guys, I always give you time to calling and share your thoughts. It's when the guest now comes in now start to say at home. That's when you now start calling now. I want to hear your thoughts on the topic of the day. Indecision. Are you somebody who decides quickly or not? Are you an overthinker? I feel like people who have problems with indecision sometimes might be overthinkers. Are people that overthink a lot. They're thinking, oh, what are the possible outcomes of this? They look at outcome A, outcome B, outcome C. You're thinking. You can't decide because you're afraid. There are many reasons why people can be afraid. Will not decide on something. I mean, fear is one of them. Overthinking is another. But if you just hit a spot, it hits a nerve. Please do well to share your thoughts on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Calling on 0915-534-5627, 0915-534-5627, or 0915-534-5509, 0915-534-5509. Let me hear your thoughts. Is indecision good or bad? Overthinkers are people who are quite intelligent. People who are very intelligent kind of finding hard to make decisions quickly because they're trying to look at all possible outcomes, all possible combinations and probabilities of this. Let me hear your thoughts today on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Are you an overthinker? Are you somebody who have issues with decisions? Let's hear it today on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. I think I have to take my first caller on today's show. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to have you on the show. Thanks for calling.
My name is Toyin Adamson.
What's your name?
Adamson.
All right. Good to have you. Thanks for calling in. Please talk to me.
Actually, you are talking about indecision.
Yes.
There was a time I make a decision within my family. It's a very, very hard decision, but at least at the end of the day, I have to take it then. At the end of the day, I think I don't blame myself by taking it then now. I don't think I'm not blaming myself now. But then it's very, very hard for me to take. But I have to take it. But at least for now, I thank God for being that hard decision then.
Are you there? I was literally struggling to hear you for a bit.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't hear you clearly.
I say I make a decision, very hard decision then within my family.
Okay. With your family. So what happened? What was that decision that was so hard?
Yeah, thank you. Then, the country somehow very hard. Very, very hard. Even the family to sustain, to live, then things is not really going well then. I have 3 kids with wife, everything, this is not really going well. And I have the opportunity of, at least travel to take them abroad. I'm now contemplating, should I go, should I send them? It's not something easy for somebody to take that kind of hard decision. I now take that very hard decision, with prayer. So let me just take them over there. I will stay here. With time, things will be going well.
Okay.
That is the most hard decision I make then.
Wow.
But then, yeah. But now I thank God, they are fine there. Which even me now, I can easily go there and come back now and check them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So
it's very hard decision I make there.
Why was it the hardest? Was it because you're going to be far away from you, or was it the amount of money you'll be spending, or what?
Apart from money, I thought we spend money, things may not work out fine.
Mm,
That kind of a decision. Secondly, you think about the money, you think about your family, they will far away from you. You don't know how long you are going to see them.
mm,
The money also is about something, risk before you take that kind of a decision on the money, even on the family. That kind of a thing. But
yes.
now we thank God for everything.
Wow.
I can see them anytime I like. I can go and come back. And the idea also, which I'm here, I can move there and come back now. Those are that one I would say very hard decision that
So,
I make there.
so is it safe to say that you do not regret your decision?
I did not. For now, I did not regret. But
Fine.
then it's very, very hard for me to take. But which I have to.
Yes. Well done.
Yeah,
Well done.
that's
Thanks for
not.
sharing. I appreciate.
Yeah, welcome.
All right. Okay. I love when we're vulnerable right here on Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. This is a show that encourages vulnerability and self disclosure from me, your host, and from you, my listeners and viewers. So, yes, feel free to share me. Talk to me. What has been your hardest decision so far? And to my last caller, thank you so much for sharing that. That's, I think a lot of men can relate with that. A lot of men have had to send their family abroad or families abroad, just to make ends meet, just to, look for greener pasture, the distance, the amount of money you got to spend. And then you get to say, oh, will it work out? Are they going to be safe? I will not be there with them. Is that the best decision? Or I can imagine that must have been one of a very, very hard decision to take. And I feel like a lot of Nigerians can even relate. People that wanted to jackpot, some people are even thinking right now, should I jackpot, should I not? This country is safe. Should I jackpot, should I not? They're just in that, sitting on that fence, and you can be there for a while. You can be there for months, you can be there for years. And then today we're going to be helping you out to break out of that indecision, indecision that can carry you on for months, that you have not decided on that particular thing. We will help you to break out of it. We'll help you to know the difference between, you know indecision, or uncertainty that comes with something, and for you to know the difference between, how can I decide on something fast and effectively? How do I know if the outcome would favor me? Like they say on social media, this government will favor me, or this decision will favor me. So we're hoping that today's show would encourage us to be able to be more decisive rather than being in that indecisive space for a while. I'd love to hear more conversations, more stories, real life stories, relatable stories. What has been the hardest decision that you've ever had to make? Please do what calling on the numbers 0915 534 5627 or 0915 534 5509, 0915 534 5627, or 0915 534 5509. let me I'm still getting used to the new numbers, so yeah, please do well to share with me what your thoughts are. Now, I feel like indecision can be a good thing or a bad thing. Bad thing is when it keeps going on and you can't decide on it. After all, you're there for a while. When it's a bad thing when it's of you to make decisions on very small things, small things that don't have consequences, then you start to overthink about them. It could be a huge problem, but again, it could also be a good thing in terms of, oh, it helps you look at all dimensions and say, okay, sometimes when you decide, you can say, oh, I actually decided on this too quickly. There are some things that you've done, some decisions you've made, and you'd be like, oh, I think I was too fast to decide. I should have taken my time. So we're going to be finding the balance between that indecision and decision at the end of the day. So yeah, I want to hear your real life stories. If there are no calls coming in, guys, I will go on a break. Oh, you know me, I'll go on a break, and then I'll bring in my special guest to come and give us in-depth analysis on the topic of the day. And I'm sure you guys will be more gingered to call in by then and share your thoughts. This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. We're talking about indecision. That's the inability to make decisions quickly and effectively. I want to know the causes of this. Why is it that some issues you can quickly make decisions and some you can't? Why is that some people can quickly make decisions why some can't? Is indecision, is it a gender thing or not? What's the root cause of indecision? How does it affect our lives? how does it impact our lives in the long run? So let's go on that break. When we get back, we'll be having deeper, even much deeper conversations on the topic of the day and decision. Let's go on that break. When I get back, my special guest will be in the studio. Welcome back. This is Deep Waters with Deborah Waters, and it's 10 minutes to 5 p.m. We started about 4:30 p.m., which is the time that Deep Waters starts, 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. on Mondays, 5 to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays and Fridays. So good to have you join me. If you're tuned in just in time for us to talk about indecision. Right here on the show, we love to talk about deep, meaningful things, have deep, meaningful conversations. And one of them that we're having today is indecision. We're asking, what has been the hardest decision you've had to make in your entire life? And I took some of your calls earlier. One of the callers who said, oh, I had to relocate my family, and that was one of the hardest decisions because I was faced with a lot of thoughts, would this work out? Would this not? And I'm sure a lot of us can relate. We've had hard decisions, sometimes seemingly easy decisions to make, but that seems hard. Let me use that one. Sometimes these decisions are easy. You're like, why can't you just make them? Like, is this not, like, it's not food? Eat anything now, and then you can't decide on what to eat. And that's just the smallest of things that we get to decide on as human beings right here on earth. And we are going to be helping you learn how to make hard decisions, step away from your indecisiveness. Even I hope to step away from my own indecisiveness as a person, because I feel like I can be considered a bit indecisive. But they say it's people that are smart and, people that have intelligent people that usually are indecisive. I don't know, I'm just joking. I guess our coach for today would help us clarify on that. Yes, you can call in and share your thoughts, your personal stories on 0915 534 5627 or 0915 534 5509. Don't forget we're live on radio and TV. So if you're watching on TV, you can definitely see the numbers on your screens and calling. I have a special guest with me in the studio. I'm super duper excited to have her. I feel I can relate. I just don't know why I just feel so connected to her in
Aw.
every you have to say in every way. she's she's a published author, a public speaker, I can even say content creator,
You know.
giving Gen Z vibes, trauma recovery expert, social researcher, community development professional, a CEO of A. Adams Primo. I hope I got that.
Yes.
Primo Limited, and which is a versatile professional, and she's a versatile professional who with her expertise in mentoring, coaching, therapy, storytelling, social impact, and she has over 12 years experience. Her company has also evolved into a creative solution provider, housing various sister companies, which I cannot even start to mention, from my street kitchen to Sidika NGO to the support lounge. And this woman is so inspiring. Just go on her social media page and you'll be inspired by. You're like, how can somebody be this strong and resonate with this so much strength? She has impacted about 600,000 people in over 65 communities across 22 states in Nigeria and 4 continents. I am super duper excited to have this beautiful, inspirational lady who wears many hats, and today she's going to be wearing the hat of a. What hat are you going to be wearing today?
I'll bring all my hats. It depends on
Anyone?
the question.
Okay.
The question will dictate which hat I bring for.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I have with me in the studio Aisha Adams. Hi.
Yay! Happy to be
You
here.
had to.
I have to clap for myself. I have to cheer myself.
So good to have you in the studio.
It's good to be
Thank
here.
you so much for coming. I
Thank you for
appreciate it.
inviting me.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. I actually have calls coming in already. So I don't know
Okay.
if I should usher in with a call or you wanna get right into it. All right, I think I missed the call already. Guys, please do call back in call back. I will take your calls. So we're talking about indecision. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like as a coach, you coaches always have a different, you know how to break those words down to the layman. I can come and say indecision is inability to make this to decide or to make decisions, right? But as simple as that is, what does it mean coming from a professional perspective? How can I look at myself and say, oh, okay, I'm actually quite indecisive? Because I feel like a lot of people can be indecisive in one thing or another, but when does it become a problem?
Is it really a problem?
Okay, good question.
I think it depends on the context in which you look at it.
Okay.
So if you're indecisive about food, for example, we all get indecisive about food from time to time. There are times you feel a certain way. But I think that every form of indecisiveness goes back to how we were brought up. It's not like we are indecisive. It's that you are scared of owning up to the decision that you're making because of fear of anything, fear of shame, fear of being reprimanded, fear of anything. A lot of the time, there is always a fear associated with indecision. Think about it. Why is this person, you talked about someone calling earlier who talked about relocation. The whole relocating thing is worrisome. Why? Because there's a fear of what would happen to my family, fear of what would become of our relationship. There is often an underlying factor that leads to indecision.
Okay.
So indecision could simply be exactly what you called it.
Okay.
An inability to, make indecision an indecisive. Sorry.
Yeah, you're being distracted. Yeah.
But yes,
Stop distracting us
yes.
behind the scenes. Go on.
Indecision is basically indecisiveness is basically you being at this place where you constantly struggle to reach a compromise or a point of action. You're unable to take a decision or take an action on something that you want to do, either because you are scared that it will come with consequences, or you're scared of the consequences that will come with it.
Okay.
So it could be one of the two.
Okay, I hear you, and that makes sense. But I can't beg to differ. I beg to differ that there's a level of indecision that's worrisome.
Yes. Yes.
Personally worrisome. That you find yourself like, why am I finding it hard to just decide? And I know you say fear might be one of the lying thing, but how do we differentiate fear, the fear of making the wrong choice, from like genuine uncertainty? Those feelings, or are they the same?
When you say uncertainty, what do you mean? Sorry, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean,
there is the therapy.
It's like you're unsure of the outcome.
Okay.
So you don't. Does that relate to fear?
That's still indecisiveness. It's still fair. Honestly, a lot of the time, at the bottom, of every uncertainty, it's not like you're uncertain.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
Okay.
Are you uncertain, or are you scared of what would happen if you took the decision you want to take? So let's give an example. Yeah. I like to always bring context to discussions, right? So you say that you are scared. You're not sure if you should go ahead with a relationship or not. Is it that you're not sure, or is it that you are scared of being by yourself? Okay, you paused.
Okay.
So that hit.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not because you're uncertain. There is no uncertainty. A lot of the time, we really know what we want, but we have been brought up in a society where you are often made to second guess yourself. You're often told, oh, don't speak your mind. Oh, don't say that. There's a way you should say things. So yes, there's a social context in which there's a way you should approach things in a social context. However, it does not mean that you should lose yourself in you trying to be socially correct.
Okay.
And I find that a lot of people lose themselves in that space. Like, I want to be acceptable. I want to belong. I want to have my clique of people. And I'm like, do you really have to have them at the expense of losing yourself? Part of the problem really stems from childhood. We were brought up in a society where a lot of parents forced their ideals on their children. Yeah? You don't have a choice. You have to be or be. They tell you be or be. Please, you didn't give me a choice. And if I have to say, oh no, I don't want to be this way, then I'm called out as stubborn. I'm labeled recalcitrant. Oh, just terrible names.
That
And
makes
nobody
sense.
wants to be called those kind of names. And so what do? You start to fit into a box. But we were never supposed to be in boxes. Who created the box? Children are in a house and they are playing, and then you punish them because they are making too much noise. Really? What are children supposed to do? If your children did not cry in the hospital, you haven't allowed to take them home in the first place.
So how does that relate to our indecisions as adults?
Because you are first a child before you become an adult. And children do not have the capacity to have self-esteem of their own. They are dependent on the self-esteem of caregivers. And so their caregivers teach them. It's like you bring a phone.
Decide for them, usually.
Yes. So when you have a new phone, what do? The phone is a phone. Everybody can have the same phone. Yeah? But then how does it become yours? It's Deborah's own when you start to put information that pertains to you. So it then becomes yours. You are cloning it to fit your spec. Isn't that what happens with parenting? Parents start to clone their children in a certain way. Now, the cloning is not the problem because the children need guidance. But the problem is that you start to make them feel like they do not deserve kindness when they are not a certain way, when they do not fit a certain box. You see, so things like you call them dumb because they're not scoring A's. You didn't score A's too, darling. What's going on? Then you call them out when they make mistakes. It's not the calling out that the problem. It is the methodology of calling them out.
Okay.
If you tell someone you could have done better, now that's kindness. Then you say, oh, you're so dumb. Now that is shame.
So we haven't been wired. In other words, what you're saying is that we haven't been wired to be very decisive.
Yes.
Even as kids, because we have everything decided for us. Even when we want to make our own choice, they're trying to infuse theirs.
Yes, as much as caregivers want to help children, grow into a good example of, what they should be in society, there should be pockets of times where you allow them to make decisions for themselves. And because I saw this
Even
happening,
if they will be wrong,
allow them to make the mistakes, guided. Do you understand? So let them make the mistakes while still being guided. So it's like this. Sometimes I allow my children to make decisions and fail at it. Why? Because in the failure is a lesson. How do they learn to be resilient if I have to cushion every fall? They fall, they pick themselves up.
not
And
in
I'm
all
like,
cases. There's some falling that you never.
I promise you,
don't-
every falling has a pickup so long as you're not dead.
What about some fallings that you don't, the consequences that you don't ever get back?
So long as you are not dead, there is always an opportunity to reset. Society tells us that at a point in time, you feel you cannot get back up. When did you decide to accept society's,
No, we live in the society. We keep saying society. We live in the society. We are the society.
Thank you. If you are the society, then you can make the rules. The rules were made by some people. Some set of people sat down and decided. You can decide to create a space for yourself and the other people that are like you. Because the people that created that space, they all fit a certain box. If the box does not fit for you, do you then, reincarnate yourself? You cannot. So the problem is that we think we must fit in. There are times that people will stand out for good. Do not be scared to stand out if what you're standing out for is something that helps you add value to people and to the society at large. Nobody wants to say, oh, okay, think about it. When people are picking leaders in a group of people, isn't it people that stand out for leadership qualities, that have those qualities? So it then means that it's not really bad to stand out at certain pockets of times. So why are you scared of being yourself? You will lose yourself when you keep trying to be like other people, and that's usually the problem.
Interesting. We have to take a call. Aisha Adams still in the studio. We're talking about indecision. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Good to have you in the studio. Thanks for calling.
Good evening. My name is Ikenna.
Good evening, Ikena. Good to have you on the show. Talk to me.
Okay. I just tuned in, and I think a lot of what your guest is saying is going very well with me. Parents, for some reason, I want to talk about the aspect of allowing kids to be kids, allowing them to make mistakes, and then from their mistakes and blah blah blah. Your child is never going to learn how to walk if you continue carrying him or her, or not allowing the child to fall and attempt to walk. The child tries to walk, and if you don't tell the child more than you're still carrying, and you keep carrying the child not to, for the child not to fall and get injured, the child will never learn how to walk.
Yeah.
So sometimes you allow the kid to make mistake. Your guess is right. There is not much mistake that can be recovered from. As a matter of fact, that's why I will never support someone that commits suicide. Because after I did that, you cannot work it out long run over time.
Yes.
You understand? If someone commits suicide out of you're giving up for what for? As long as you are breathing, every day is a day closer to the solution. So long as you're focused on it and you keep on what you're doing. So for some reason we don't know when to package our children for have covered them in cotton wool from age 0 to 17. Then by 17 or 18, you ship the child out into some foreign land to attend it. But and overnight, you want the child to grow up. How?
Okay, I even want to ask you a
You know?
personal question. Are you there?
Yeah.
Do you as an adult, I mean you're once a child and all that, but as an adult, do you catch yourself, indecisive sometimes about certain hard decisions?
It's breaking. I'm hearing what
You're
I tell the
breaking.
question. Yeah, I would love to even call you back,
Okay,
so that
all
I
right,
hear your
please
question.
do. Okay, please
Yeah.
do. All right, we had to do some small improvisation here right in the studio just to hear you guys talk. So please do well to call back, Ikena. What I asked was, do you catch as an adult? I know you've spoken for the kids and your children, but I'm asking you now as a man, do you catch yourself, indecisive sometimes about certain hard decisions, where you are racking your head for days, for hours, for weeks, trying to decide on something. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on that. So please do well to call.
I can help with that
Okay,
answer.
yes,
Yes,
please.
yes, there are times I am.
Even as a coach,
Of course, we're
even
human
as
beings.
Aisha Adams.
We're human beings. Well, I'm a human, and I have also passed through that, space of being a child, failing, being reprimanded, and all of that. We have those times. But what happens? What differentiates you, myself, from the next person, is my ability to say, okay, so what happens? Okay, let's leave it. Let's do it. So I'm a risk taker. Yeah. Yes. I'm a big risk taker.
Wow.
I take a lot of risks. And, my sister will be like, Aisha, I cannot do this thing that you do. How do you do it? For me, I'm just like, life is risk. The air we breathe, what's the guarantee that what I just breathed in is not something that could lead to my death? Think about coronavirus. When corona was on, we all had nose masks on. Exactly. So that tells you that we would always be in spaces where we would take a decision and it could cost us our life. But at the end of life, your pain would not be those decisions that you made. It will be those opportunities that you had that you could have taken advantage of that you didn't. When I think back to things that I did or things I should have done, I always feel bad about those times that I could have actually taken the bull by the horn, and I was just like, oh, I don't want people to say this. I don't want people to say that. Well, guess what? People will talk irrespective, whether you do or you don't. So do it for you. Make decisions that aligns with your values and aligns with your purpose. We all have various callings. Your calling is not mine, mine is not yours, and it's fine. It's okay to be different. But what is not okay is that I live on your timeline because I just want to fit in. We wouldn't all fit in. Some people are supposed to fit in and some people are supposed to stand out for good.
Interesting.
Embrace it if you are that person.
I'd love to actually hear your thoughts on the effect of indecision, but we will take that in a bit. Let's quickly take this caller. Whoosh. Hello. Hello. Hola. All right, lost that. Yeah, I would love to know the effects. What do I stand to? What's the cost of indecision, and what are, the benefits? I feel like there are some times that indecision can be a good thing. Yes.
Is it? Tell me those
You know we started. I started
No,
with this.
just
You
help
said,
me.
"Is it
Help
a
me.
problem?"
No. So what?
Then you gave us many
I was
reasons.
playing- I was
you gave us
playing
many
bad
reasons
cop.
to decide.
I
Now saying decisions can be good though. Then you now say, "Is it again?" Please clarify. Clarify. So is it indecision? Is it good or bad? Because I feel like there's sometimes where indecision
Perhaps if you could
can be
educate me
good.
on when it is
For
good.
example,
Exactly.
a couple looking to divorce, right? The woman is thinking, oh, I want a divorce, or I'm not sure, should I not, I'm tired of this, and then there's this gap where she's maybe waiting and praying and indecisive on what to do.
Okay, perhaps in that context, yes, it could be
Good.
it could be good if her reasons are for herself. What I find is that a lot of the time people are indecisive. It's not really about them. It's about what people would say. Ask people. Just do a random sampling and say, why are you indecisive? Why are you indecisive? You would see that at the bottom of it is either shame or fear of blame or fear of failure, or fear of missing out, or fear of being called names, or wanting to fit in, a people pleasing thing, a problem with perfectionism. They just want things to be perfect, perfect, perfect. That's non existent. So those are usually the things that you will come up as the reasons. It's usually not a thing of, oh, I'm indecisive because I want to make a good decision. You have something called your gut feeling. A lot of the time, we know what it is. And so sometimes when I'm trying to help someone who is struggling with indecision, what I do is, right now, on the spot, tell me what you're thinking. And a lot of the time, that is usually the right thing for us. It's just that you don't want to say it because you're scared that if you say it, it will have repercussions. Because when you were a kid, it always had repercussions. Your brain advances with time, but it does not delete information. Except it's something that is like a coping mechanism or something for trauma or something like that. And so if that is the case, then that means there's a storage of things that have happened to you when you were children, you were kids, where maybe a father or a mother or a caregiver, a teacher said something to you because you spoke your mind, or you made a decision that you wanted to do for yourself. And so that makes you feel like it's still there somehow. And so we tend to do repeated actions, right? Based on things that we had done before.
Wow.
So you find yourself regurgitating that even in adult life. You say, oh, okay, if I do this, based on what the society says, if you're that kind of person who is very concerned about what society says, then you will base off your decisions on
But we
what
can't
people
help
say.
but I know
There
you
is
say
the space of society, but then there's also the space of who you are, what you bring to the table, and your journey.
and your joy.
And your joy, oh God, thank you for that addition. Your joy is key. It shouldn't be at the detriment of others, but then it should align. There should be an alignment somewhere.
Okay. All right. Deep Waters with Deborah Waters. Aisha Adam still in the studio. Let's take another call. Hello.
Yeah, this is me.
Welcome back. Ikena.
Yeah. Okay. Going to your question, certainly I've had a lot of times that I was lost on the immediate decision to take on things. It's a natural thing. So long as you ever get involved in taking your decisions by yourself and for yourself, there must be times that you will be a little indecisive about what to do and which of the options to take. And it's because, one, you will not know what is going to be the impact of your decision or how it's going to come out and all of that. So various reasons are going to make you with part of what we call the indecisiveness. Do you understand? If I take a decision, what's going to be, what can happen in the next a year or two as a consequence of this decision, or is so and so person going to be happy with my decision, blah, 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 blah. So now, what informs your decision will be, one, things like your risk appetite, how much you're willing to take the bull by the horn and not really damn the consequences, take whatever the consequences come out as, okay, this is the decision. What I do for me is this: whenever I want to take a decision about something, I try my best possible to get as much information as I can about the decision I want to take. And however the outcome is, I don't regret. So long as I got as much information as I could get to take my decision, and I took it with full clarity of mind. If it goes south, well, this one went south. We take it. We move on. If anything, if I'm taking a decision and it went bad, I don't stay on the floor there. You got to stand up and get on the next one. You understand? I've taken some bizarre decisions, about my life and about my career. Luckily for me, I've been in very much control of a lot of things about me. So I take my decision. I don't give a damn about what the next person says. If he too vex you, that's your funeral. Do you understand? I've taken some very bizarre decisions, and luckily for me, a lot of them never went south. Do you understand? So, well, you must come into those kind of circumstances as a human being. So long as you're doing things, you're taking risks, you're taking your decisions by yourself. You don't go relying on somebody. Okay, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do?
All right, Ikena, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, yeah.
Ikena always making sense on the show. I'd love to know what part emotions play in decisions. So, when you want to make indecisiveness, do you shut out your emotions and just be completely rational and logical? Because that sounds a lot like Ikena right now. Or, what role does emotion have to
There
play?
is no way you can separate emotions from decision making. You are a pack of oscillation emotions. Emotions always have a part to play. So when people say things like, "Oh, you know what? Let's just cut emotion out of it," I'm like, "Are you joking? Just tell me you're not human. You're not a robot." Our emotions always have a part to play. The question is, when your emotions are weighing on your decision, to what extent? Is it to
Yeah.
an irrational extent, or is it a rational extent?
Yeah.
And it's often like, have a pros and cons table. These are the pros, these are the cons. If you are making a decision and you can clearly see that there are more cons than pros, then perhaps you're not making that from a conscious space. Like, you're not being rational about it. However, there are moments where it looks like there are more cons. However, you have a gut feeling based on something. I would say trust your gut feeling, because there are moments like that where you just hit the jackpot because you followed your gut. But it would come from a place of self-trust. It means that you have done things over time. You have come to understand the way your body works, the way your instinct works, the way it works for you, and you can say, okay, you know what, the way I feel right now, every time I made a decision from this space, it was always good. However, if you have done everything that you need to do and it turns out wrong, then be willing to sleep with the consequences, like willing to just pick up and move on. I think the problem is not that we fail. The problem is what happens after failure. The problem is with the shame, the shaming that comes with it. The problem is with the
But we can't help that. Not everybody is strong enough to deal with the pain. That's why some, for example, will consider suicide, because of some decision that they made and they were not proud of.
so yes, there is the place of suicide for people who struggle with emotional stability. But then there's also the place of kindness. I think what we really
To
need
oneself,
to do,
right?
yes, kindness to yourself. Because no one can give you what you cannot give to yourself. And there is the important place of nurturing self-compassion. It was something I talked about in one of the videos I did on my YouTube page, I think on my recently, about compassion. We tend to look for compassion from everybody else except ourselves. But sweetheart, nobody is going to give you what you do not give yourself. You show us how to treat you the way you treat yourself. When something happens to you, something bad, are you gracious? Are you kind? Or do you start to self-harm and self-hurt because you feel like you do not deserve anything good because of one small thing? And I think that sometimes gratitude also plays a big role in helping us feel that the things that happen to us are not as bad as they really are. Because just when you think yours is bad, you need to hear about other people's story. Which is why I really like the work I do in the humanitarian space, because it usually keeps me grounded. Because if I look at the work I do just from being a therapist or being a coach and all of that, I would probably just be in somewhere, one high sitting thinking, oh, life is a certain way. However, because I work in the humanitarian space, it gives me this opportunity to have like a balance, where when I go to humanitarian space and I see people working as hard as I do and are still living on barest minimum, I'm able to say, God, thank you. And there is the place of gratitude in cultivating self-compassion. There is a place of gratitude in helping us to see good in our life even when things are going sour. I think this is an opportunity for me to just address everyone listening and say, please be kinder to yourself and please be kinder to other people. Because the problem is not really the challenge. Think about it. A person fails exam 3 times. Is it the exam that they failed that is hurting them? Or is it the fact that people would shame them?
Dear.
It's like, oh my God, how you will hear people say that, what are people going to say about me? How are they going to, oh, mine is finished. Is it finished? Come on. No, it's not. And I think that it then it's also for us to call and say, who are the people around us? Because the people around you also matters. Stop hanging around toxic people. Stop. They could be your friends, they could be your family. The fact that they are family does not mean that you need to hold them close. You're not going to hold hot coal close because you want to cook food. You're not going to say, because I want to eat cooked meals, I'm going to keep holding on to hot coal. So stop holding on to friendships or relationships that are toxic to you. When I saw the show, and I think I saw the question that you're going to ask, like, what is the hardest decision you had made? I thought about it and I said to myself, I think one of the hardest decisions I have made has been ditching relationships that was not serving me. Oh, yes.
Wow.
I have, my block button is on autopilot. Yes.
Now.
Delete and block.
Wow.
Is on speed dial, because I came to the realization that my peace of mind was mine to cultivate.
Wow.
And that realization,
And that's a decision in itself.
yes, in fact, indecision is a decision. So every time you are indecisive, you are making a choice. And I know, I think, see people do things like sit on the fence. I said, my dear, sitting on the fence is a decision in itself. So do not cry if the things that you seek do not come to you. See, the success is for those who are bold enough to face the challenges that comes with the decision. You have to be courageous. And it's not like courage is something that you just cultivate, at the back of your house. But it is with repeated action, repeated trials, repeated, exposure, repeated. You're so good at your work now, because the first time you came here, I'm sure your voice was shaking. You probably, nobody knew. You were just, yeah, exactly. But then what happened? Over a period of time, you are owning it. You're like, please, can we get off the show soon?
But how do you constantly decide to be decisive when people around you are not?
By staying focused on your goal. I think that the problem is not that people don't want to be decisive. The problem is that people lack clarity on what their direction is.
Okay, that's another perspective.
The clearer you get on your direction, the better,
easier you are
yes,
to
yes,
block and delete, like
oh
you said.
yes. The moment you know, like, oh, you know what, I am, this is what I am for, and you're clear, crystal clear, it becomes easy, because you are no longer dancing to people's tune. It's like, I think one of the things that has helped me so far, even in my work, in my career, and in rising from the many challenges that life has served me, and I have eaten breakfast a lot of the time,
Wow.
but then for each breakfast, I say, okay, what did this come to teach me? The problem is not the challenges we face. The problem is how we relate with those challenges. So it's like, how are you choosing to relate with the challenges that comes with? We need to quit seeing feedback as an insult to our person. That's another thing.
It's a lot. My head
Sorry.
is...
So it's not the, okay, you're like, you're ashamed. Yes, I hear. The shame is short-lived. What actually stays with us is that, people's perception of me. Okay, how do I carry on from there? They will now say that she has failed before. So
What?
So they say she has failed before. Sweetheart, people are not living their life waiting for you to succeed or fail. They've moved on to the next thing. So you think that they remembered what happened to you in 1922? They didn't even remember what happened in 1950. Why are you worried about what happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Just move on already. So it's about you looking at yourself and saying, how close or far am I to my life goal? And I think that has really been very helpful for me in, knowing how to choose my relationships, knowing how to move forward. I keep asking myself, if death comes now, would I feel fulfilled? Because for me, that's really like one of my biggest motivations, death.
Wow.
And so when I know that I'm not okay where I am, why am I willing to stay in the mud?
When I
can get up, dust myself, move to the closest bathroom, wash up, and go my way.
And it's how powerful the mind is, because this decision thing is from the mind.
Yes.
It's how powerful the mind can be when you decide from within that this is it, and then you go for it.
Yes. I once was a very timid person. I couldn't stand and talk in front of two people. And here I am talking on radio.
Wow.
Where people, like thousands of people will probably watch.
I can't believe that.
Honest. Two people. I couldn't stand and talk in front of two people.
Wow.
How did I evolve from that person to being a public speaker? It was my deciding. And I remember when I made the decision, it was in my senior secondary school. I was just like, you know what? I am done with being taken for granted, with being bullied. I am done. And I started, moving. And, it was interesting when I started the work I do in coaching and therapy, because I started to see that the steps I took were the steps that were recommended. And it was just being led by God. So for me, I think that the first thing was I knew who I wanted to be. I knew how I wanted to show up in the world from an early age. And I think, I'm so thankful to my parents who, gave us this sense of, my dad always used to say things like, my father is this, my mother is that, my brother is that. Who are you? And that, so it was never about you trying to lean on what your father is or what your mother is. How about you lean on who you are and you show up for yourself in that way? And I think that did help me cultivate a sense of self, and have like very clear focus on who I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up in the world. And so when the challenges were coming,
It was
I kept
easy
going
to
back.
decide that
Yes.
you were.
I would go back and say, no, this is not part of the plan.
Amazing.
This is like a detour. How do I get back on track?
Amazing. Sadly, I don't know that time just flies, honestly,
Yes, it does.
Thank you so much, Aisha Adams. I
Thank you
think
so much.
you found a way to actually use yourself as a very crystal example to for us to be able to actually decide, because it actually definitely starts with the mind,
Yes, it
right
does.
there in the mind.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing giving us first-hand tips, personal experiences, real life examples on how to be decisive in our day-to-day lives. I appreciate you.
Thank you for
And
having
hopefully
me.
those people who are still indecisive about going out to protest, maybe they can make a decision, today.
I know that.
You know the day. You all know the day.
That's good deal. I would just say that people who are struggling with indecision should, at the minimum, find someone like a friend or a coach or a therapist that they can reach out to, because I feel like that would go a long way to helping you rebuild.
Speaking of coach, how can they find you on social media?
Oh,
And
at Aisha_Adams, AISHAH_Adams.
Okay.
Or you send us an email at info@aishaadams.com.
Okay, and I must say they're very, very receptive, quick to answer.
Aw.
The teamwork is amazing, and I can't wait for you to reach out to her for mentoring, coaching, and if you feel like something you can't do by yourself, reach out to the Aisha Adams team, and they will help you definitely. Walk
thank
away
you.
and be more decisive in your actions. Thank you so much. I feel a
Thank
step
you.
closer to being decisive.
Aw.
About certain things. I think now it's very clear. Actually, go into your heart, go to your mind, decide on what you really want, and every other smaller steps that regards that it's easy to actually cut them out because you've made
Yes.
the big decision.
Yes.
Wow, I sound like a therapist. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having
And to
me.
all my callers, Ikena, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I appreciate you. Deep Waters is live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We'll be back on Wednesday at 5 to 6 p.m. for another amazing show for you. And do well to follow at Deep Waters _podcast on Instagram and Facebook for you to be a part of the Deep Waters community. I want to say thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned one or two. I hope you have decided to keep watching Deep Waters with Deborah Waters, and see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.